Hey everybody, Preston Poulter here with Pocket Jacks Comics, and today I'm talking about Alien Resistance, which I love this whole universe. Alien Resistance is interesting in that it is really embracing the character of Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ellen Ripley, which was first seen in the director's cut only of Aliens. So I'm sure we've probably all seen the theatrical release of Aliens. Excellent movie. And film critics would argue that it's probably better than the director's cut, and that did we really need those extra scenes? Because at the time, James Cameron was like, he was paying very close attention to audience expectations of, we already know there's a big bad alien in this movie. We've already seen the first movie. We want to see him. And so he wanted to get you to see the bad aliens as quick as you can. And so that's why he cut out the scenes where they're talking to Ellen Ripley and saying, oh yeah, and all that time you spent out there in hypersleep, turns out you had a daughter who's dead. Now, from a writer point of view, this does set up Ellen Ripley going, oh gee, you know what, later on when I meet Newt, she's lost her family, I've lost my daughter, boom, we should be together. And so when Newt is in danger, it makes sense that I'm going to run down and try and save her. Makes total sense. But at the same time, do we really need this extra backstory in order for Ellen Ripley to do the right thing and save a child? Well, clearly not, because we all love the theatrical release, right? That was a great movie. So, we didn't need it. It was cut from the film. But it was really embraced in Alien Isolation, the computer game, which came out by Sega a couple of years ago. I enjoyed playing it. My daughter did as well. And there's some funny Let's Plays by Markiplier where he's freaking out. So the game certainly helped make his career. But the character in the computer game, Amanda, she's looking for her mother, who's out there disappearing. And, we, the audience, know, oh, yeah, she's floating out there in hyperspace. But Amanda's looking for her, and the trail leads to the space station, Sevastopol, where she finds a message recorded by Sigourney Weaver,
Report.
a.k.a. Ellen Ripley.
Personal message. This is
It was pretty touching.
for my daughter.
I
Hi,
like
Amanda.
that part of the computer game.
I'm recording this for you, my sweetheart.
And then
And I hope
Amanda
you get to hear it
Ripley,
one day.
over the course of the adventure, a lot of aliens die, and she's kind of left floating out there in space. But the final scene is this searchlight, which just kind of blinks her visor, which lets us know that she gets rescued. And if we are accepting that the director's cut of Alien is canon, then we know that she has to live, because that's she dies of cancer according to the Alien director's cut movie. All right, so we've got Amanda Ripley from the computer game, and then we have Zula Hendricks from the prior Aliens comic book, who, she does a whole bunch of adventures, also fighting aliens, also fighting the company. And so Aliens Resistance then is the story of these two coming together to fight Weyland-Yutani, who, as we learned very early in issue 1, has the alien. And so this comic book opens, again, not wasting a lot of time. It's pretty much Zula Hendricks and Amanda are like, oh, hey, you hate the company? I hate the company. You've met aliens? I've met aliens. And, they find out that Weyland-Yutani, sure enough, has the bad alien, and therefore Amanda and Zula both have to stop it. So it's on some weapons facility planet out there somewhere, in the future, where there are just so many habitable planets in the world. One's just a weapons facility. So I really hope we get to a future as bright that we can just designate whole planets as, that'll be a weapons facility. But, all right, so Amanda and Zula are off, and they have an encounter, well, Amanda does, with some badass androids who, if you play the game Alien Isolation, you're used to beating androids, but and the comic plays off of that. It's like, oh, you think you're going to beat me? Well, guess what?
Upgrades.
Upgrades. So not only are these androids smarter and tougher, but you know, they do look like the classic androids from the game, which don't, by the way, look like the androids of Ash from Alien. These are different androids made by a competitor to Weyland-Yutani. Although why, you gotta ask, why is Weyland-Yutani using competitor androids, right? Weyland-Yutani already has their own androids and they work really well. Doesn't really explain that. I think it's just fan service to, well, you were beating up these androids which were introduced in Alien Isolation. Here they are on the comic book, but they've been upgraded. And they fire bullets which are tipped with alien acid blood. All right, I'm calling shenanigans here, right? I mean, the acid from the movie was always a little weird.
Molecular acid.
Molecular acid doesn't exist, or another way of saying it is all acid involves molecules. So, but once they find out what this special form of organic acid is, which apparently will lead through anything except alien flesh, but once they find out what it is, why would they need to the idea that we have bullets which are tipped with alien blood means that Weyland-Yutani is so far advanced in their alien research program that they're literally milking them like cows. Like, okay, we've got them in a little chamber. Let's just go in and milk them for acid so we can, because we've got an assembly line. Because think about it, right? This is just a security android here. It's not like he's one of a kind and he's been given these android bullets, or yeah, he's been given special bullets that are acid coated to use against this one target. If this just generic android has these bullets, then that means they've been mass produced, which means there is an assembly line somewhere where aliens are being milked for their blood, which is way farther along than we've ever seen Weyland-Yutani do in any movie, or for that, to my knowledge, any comic book. So I think from a writer point of view, that might have been a bit of an overreach on their part. But they do have these nice sequences. One thing that I noticed this writer likes to do is have the action sequences sans dialogue and thought bubbles. Personally, I could do with a little bit more exposition. You know, like it's not going to kill me if in a few panels, you know, Amanda's thinking, oh my gosh, he's got a gun, I've got to get to the escape hatch, instead of just series of blank panels, because I get confused. I mean, look, maybe I have a small attention span, I don't know, but I get confused. So I want a little bit more exposition there. But we do feature, and I do like this, that Amanda Ripley is now claustrophobic, which makes sense after all the events of Alien Isolation, as well as, you know, spending, basically the events of Alien Isolation, where not only is she fighting the alien, all in close spaces, but also 3 days in a pressure suit just hanging out there in space. She's claustrophobic. Makes sense. And she has nightmares and cryosleep about that ending of Alien Isolation, which, you know, also pretty cool. But then we end issue 1 with them being at the planet and going, okay, there we are. It's time to get to business. So I will talk about issue 2 in another video. Meanwhile, I have a Kickstarter coming up for my female protagonist story about the 2 deadliest female fighter pilots who ever lived. They flew for the Soviet Union, where they were real women, and that Kickstarter is going to launch next month, which is going to be May. And by the way, big announcement, I got an inker from Marvel who does some pretty regular work for Marvel. Will be filling in for my regular inker Diana, who has injured herself and is not able to finish her obligation. So Diana will be able to contribute some things, and then this inker, who I will formally announce here in a couple of days, will be filling in, so that our work is going to be top-notch, which is my goal here at Pocket Jacks Comics, to deliver top-notch artistic content to you. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. There's a link down there in the description. Take care.